Good morning, everyone. This is video number 2 about your story, A Tale of Two Cities, and this is about chapter 2. Chapter 2 has the title of the restoration of the shoemaker. Shoemaker here means Dr. Manette. You know Dr. Manette, when he was locked in the prison, he was working in his cell as a shoemaker, and it has been a long time for him to do this activity. In chapter 2 you will find Mr. Lorry was taking Lucy Manette to meet her father for the first time. We starting our chapter about a very sad scene in Saint Antoinette, and this Saint Antoinette is a poor and dirty part of Paris, which the restaurants and the inns and the people there need money, need food, and they need good terms of life, and they didn't find any of them. And the children looked sounded old. It means the terms of life made them very pale and gloomy. And all the scene is a kind of dark one, nothing bright in the streets, and the shop had nothing to sell except weapons. They still have weapons to sell, and some people buy these weapons just to kill each others, trying from them to find some little money or stealing money. And one day a large barrel of red wine, and this is kind of juice, but not the right one, have dropped the barrels, and barrels a big container which we can put a liquid inside it, and this red wine was full in the street, and all of the people there tried to get some of this wine. So they used their clothes, their fingers, their hands, their broken cups, just to collect any amount of this food. For a short time they were feeling joyful and happy by doing this activity, and by using their fingers to lacking wine from the floor of the street, and they tried to drink it all. But one man of them, and he was a tall man, dipped his finger into some mud. Mud means the dust mixture with the wine, and it will be red right now, and he write on the wall in very bold and big font, blood. And blood here refer to what? Refer to their feeling bad about all situation. The barrel of wine had been owned to someone was called Monsieur Devarge. Monsieur Devarge, he was a kind of innkeeper and a bar, and he had a friendly face, but this face that showed no trace of weakness. He was standing and watching this scene without a word. He just was looking to the day when they took their revenge on the aristocratic noble men. He was just waiting for another day, not this day, another day when these weak people try to find their rights and take their revenge. Monsieur Devarge has a wife, Madame Devarge. Madame Devarge was just sitting and knitting all the time. You know the meaning of the word knitting means using a needle and a cloth to make crafts. She was knitting fast without looking at the needles. It means she kind of professional one. She cunningly observed while she was sitting there, so it means she just take a small looks and very cunning one. It means trying to see each part of the scene of people sitting at the tables. They haven't turned up yet. This is very important word. They haven't turned up yet, muttered Monsieur Defarge. Monsieur Defarge here saying this in a very low voice, just to his wife. It means he is waiting for the people to wake up and to start to find their revenge. Madame Duvarge was listening and kept what? Kept knitting without a response. She didn't answer him. In this time, just Mr. Lorry and Lucy Manette got out of the coach while Monsieur Defarge impatiently waited for them. Now there is a relation between Monsieur Defarge and Mr. Lucy and Lucy Manette and Mr. Lorry. You will find out that Dr. Manette was there in Defarge house or inn, and without he was there kind of locked man or imprisoned man here there. You will find this without any show of hospitality. Hospitality means what? When you welcome someone when he visits you. Defarge rose his feet and took the two guests. Who was the two guests? They were Lucy Manette and Mr. Lorry, and they come to visit his shop. And upstairs in a small room they found Dr. Manette. Dr. Manette, if you look at him, you will find his face very weak one. When Mr. Lorry found him, he looked angry, and he asked, why do you keep him in a locked room? Okay. Has he changed a lot? Asked Mr. Lorry. Change? You will not recognize him. Monsieur Defarge said that to Mr. Lorry because Mr. Lorry wanted to know new information or some information about Mr. Lorry. And after many years in prison, sure, Dr. Manette will change and his appearance will not be anymore like in the past one. And when Lorry found that they kept him in a locked room, he asked loudly, why did you lock the door on him? Surely he is a free man. Free man means he has not to stay in prison anymore. So Monsieur Defarge replied that he has lived so many years behind closed doors, and now he panics if the door is not locked. When you stay in a long time for one activity, you kind of used to do it. And Dr. Manette kept long years in the prison, so he felt better when he was in a locked room. And this is why Monsieur Defarge locked the door for him. Lucy couldn't help trembling and couldn't stop her heart from beating loudly. You know, now Lucy Manette, she is a young lady, never knows about her dad before, and now she will meet him after many years of thinking that he was a dead man. And now her turn to recognize him, to speak to him, and just to recognize him here means to find him or to see him for the first time. She will never remember him because she hadn't any memories about him. Go on, said Monsieur Defarge. I am afraid, she answered. I am afraid. Who said that? I am afraid. Now Lucy said, I am afraid. She is afraid from that strange man who was called Dad. She never knows him before, and now she will be in front of him. Defarge opened the door and went. The room was quite dark. He asked the other to follow him. Mr. Lorry pulled Lucy's arm around his neck, lifting her because she couldn't stand on her legs. He closed the door and locked it on the inside. Devarge opened the window, shutters a small amount, and a broad ray of sunlight, a little sunlight, because the old man couldn't stand the light and the very strong rays of the sun. You will find what? You will find an old man with a grey, uneven hair and a pale white face. He had a white beard which was not very long, and bright large eyes that gave him a hungry look. Long. There were some bits of leather and a few tools laying around him. He was bent over, busy making what? Shoes. What? Yes, Dr. Manette was making shoes while he was in the prison. And he wasn't surprised to see someone enter his room. It was kind of habit because guards in the prison checked them all the time. But the unsteady finger of one of his hands strayed to his lip as he looked at them. The hand then dropped back to his work as he once more bent over the shoe. Good day. You are still hard at work, I see. Who said that? This is Monsieur Devarge. Monsieur Devarge tried to welcome him or to say something kindly to him. After a long silence, he replied, Yes, I am still working. His voice grateful to hear. The old man has not spoken to any for so long time. He just was kept silent. So his voice did not sound like a human voice anymore. It was very weak, very slow. It had no life or feeling. You have visitors, said Devarge. The old man sat thinking. His hands moved all the time. Then he rubbed a hand across his chin. It was difficult to make him think. He couldn't think. Mr. Devarge asked him and repeated again, Could you tell the visitors your name? So Dr. Manette tried and then said 105 North Tower. Please concentrate on this line. This is what? Is it kind of name? No. This is kind of code. Which code? This is his code in the prison. 105, this is his number, and North Tower, this is the place which he was located in the prison. What? Is that all? Asked Devarge. Yes, 105 North Tower, answered the old man again. Mr. Lorry spoke finally, and he said, Have you always worked as a shoemaker? The old man looked at Devarge as he wanted him to answer on behalf. Why? He couldn't speak because he was very weak. And now Mr. Lorry looked at him. I haven't always been a shoemaker. I learned it at prison. You know, Dr. Manette was a doctor, real doctor, a physician. He can cure people and help sick people. Dr. Manette, don't you remember me? I am your friend. Mr. Lorry said that to Dr. Manette, trying to remind him with his real personality or real character, the banker. But Dr. Manette glanced at him. A look of intelligence seemed to come over his face, then disappeared again. So he tried so hard to remember anything, but he couldn't. Then he picked up the shoe and continued to work again. This is kind of what? This is kind of escaping from the real situation. He couldn't remember him, so he tried to stay away by giving himself a busy time working on a shoe. Slowly and very slowly, Lucy drew near the bench of the shoemaker. She stood behind him as he bent over his work. And she asked, Dr. Manette asked, and Dr. Manette whispered, "Who are you?" Dr. Manette here said this in a very slowly and low voice. Lucy came closer to him. You know, when he saw Lucy, he felt something familiar about her. Lucy came near and she put her hand on his arm, and her golden hair lay on his shoulders. This is kind of very important point, because the real and the only thing which Dr. Manette can remember, the color of her hair. He touched Lucy's hair with his hand, and then he took some tufts of golden hair from his pocket. He kept it in his pocket, put them beside Lucy's hair, and shouted, "It's the same! How can it be? When did it happen? How long ago was it?" Now you will find that he kept a piece of her hair in his pocket for many years, just trying to remember his only daughter. He turned Lucy's face towards the light and looked again. Then he spoke again. "She laid her head on my shoulder that night when they made me go with them." He was speaking about his daughter, and he was trying to remember the last time when he had met her. "And when I was brought to the North Tower, I found these hairs on my coat." Oh, this is very emotional time now. On hearing that, Lucy put her arm around his neck and held him closely. She holds her dad now. Her golden hair fell over his cold white head, and they both began to cry. They cried and cried. They had to leave France right now, father and daughter, because after his long years of torture and isolated in the Bastille. Now, do you know Al Bastille? This is a very famous prison in France, and now they have to leave France. Thank God your long sorrow, and sorrow means sadness or bad times, is over. From here we are going to England, their real home, England, where you can rest. Rest here means you will stay in a comfort place and feel better, inshallah. Give thanks to God who has brought you through much suffering into peace at last. At last they will find, both of them, the rest and peace by staying together in their home, England. Mr. Lorry bent over the man and he said, "We must take him away now." Lucy wondered and she asked, "But is he ready really for the long journey?" Why she asked this? She found her dad very weak, very pale, and in bad condition. Suffering from a long journey is better than staying in the city where he lost his entire life, replied Mr. Lorry. So Mr. Lorry preferred him to leave with this bad condition, but not stay in this bad city for him. Dr. Devarge said it's true. Devarge here was confirming Mr. Lorry's opinion about leaving quickly. Dr. Manette was taken down the stairs by Lucy and Mr. Lorry, and they were ready to take Dr. Manette away from France to live safely in England with his daughter. There was nobody outside the wine shop to see them leaving. Why? Because they didn't want anyone to find them again. Only one person observed their departure. That person was Madame Devarge, and Can you remember what is doing all the time? She was just sitting, knitting silently. Now she stood on the door post, knitting and watching, seeing everything and seeing nothing. Thank you. Please try to answer the questions about this chapter on your sheets, and if you need any more information or addition parts, you can send the questions on your group's telegram or for the WhatsApp group. See you next time, inshallah.